In my last video of building Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin in Minecraft, we took a look at Chapter 5 and built all of the Glamrock Beauty Salon as well as Captain Foxy's log ride underneath the mountains. But now continuing on with the series, today we're going to be taking a look at the biggest attraction of the Mega Pizzaplex and build the Roxy Raceway. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that if you do enjoy this video, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so that way you can help support me throughout this build. But without any more further ado, let's get on to building the Roxy Raceway. As I was starting to prepare for this build, there was a small issue that became a big challenge to work around while I was outlining the area. Instead of the raceway being loaded as one entire room, Ruin splits it up into two parts to make it easier for the game to load in the location. In-game this isn't a problem since we're not able to see the whole room at once, but since I'm building the entire thing in Minecraft, it was a challenge to connect the two different parts of it while only being able to see one section at a time. However, after managing to work my way around this, all of the outlines for the raceway are now all in place. Unlike Security Breach, this build won't be split up into two parts, so that way we can get a better look at it all once it's been completed. This means the build will span over multiple chapters of Ruin, starting with Chapter 6 at the entrance under the balcony, and ending off with Chapter 9 at the opposite end of the raceway. Alongside the main attraction itself, the sinkhole under the raceway will also be included, which will eventually lead down to the ending location of Ruin. There's going to be a lot of building to be done in this video, so let's not waste any more time and get started working on the build. first section of the raceway has now been built, and already a lot of progress has been made. Starting with the old construction area, plenty of old decorations and equipment have been scattered all around, which forces us to travel through tight and narrow walkways. Even the more finished parts of the raceway are filled in with ruin, as more scaffolding and parts of the racetrack itself fill up almost every open area. Then in the corner of the room is the registration booth, which is where Roxy catches us just before making it to Bonnie Ball through the back hallway behind it. And since this attraction is much bigger than any other one in the Pizzaplex, the walls even have giant pixel art of Roxanne Wolf surrounding the spectator booth with the slanted logo of the raceway on top of it. In addition to all of that, this side of the building even has a large hole in the ceiling where a wrecking ball has broken through, which opens up a view to the night sky up above. On either side of the racetrack itself are the two entrance balconies, which while not able to be accessed, are still filled up with the original decorations and concession stands. The inside of the party garages, however, have been completely changed, as the once clean and spacious rooms have been filled up with the trash left over from cleanup. The first of these rooms even has a large opening in the wall, which serves as the starting point of Chapter 9 just after leaving through the Phaser Blast back hallways. Finally, at the opposite end of the raceway is the iconic wall mural of Roxanne Wolf as she holds up two checkered flags while wearing her racing attire. Just this wall alone took multiple hours to recreate, however I think that the ending result was definitely worth the time spent. Under that are even more scaffolding and containers that lead the way to the entrance of the sinkhole elevator just after turning off the final security node by deactivating Roxy. But with that, it's now time to move on to the main part of the attraction and build the raceway itself. Though we're not able to see most of it in-game, there's still a lot of surrounding details to go over, like the large sinkhole at the center of the room and even the section of track that goes under the balcony. To then complete the main part of the build, the finishing area will be the basement under the raceway with the elevator that leads to the sinkhole below. The overall build is looking very promising so far, so let's get into another time-lapse and complete the Roxy Raceway. And now after a total of 34 hours and 19 minutes of building, everything to do with the Roxy Raceway is now all completed. This is by far the most amount of time it's taken to build a single attraction, but this has also ended up being one of my new favorite locations from Ruin so far. Taking a look at the finished build, the sinkhole in the center of the room has caused the racetrack to collapse in on itself, which gives it a much more distorted look compared to the original. This made it a lot more challenging to recreate, as the new angles add even more shape to the already bendy track. Even the canyon has been completely changed, as the rock faces have either been completely removed or are fallen over, which cuts off the track from connecting to the underground section. And even though this area is never supposed to be seen, there are still some slight changes made to it, like an entire wall that's been removed and even some small scaffolding that's been added to keep with the ruin look. Finally is the basement, which ironically is the only location not to have any changes made to it, despite being the source of where the earthquake started when the blob escaped from the sinkhole. Speaking of which, the sinkhole itself has been covered up with concrete for the time being, but will eventually lead down to the sunken pizzeria. But now that the Roxy Raceway has been fully built, it's now time to move on to the next part and add in the AR version under it. Once completed, we'll then be able to use the Vanny mask to teleport between the two builds and pass through any blocked walkways that appear in the normal world. However, since the attraction is so tall, all of the previous AR builds had to be lowered down by 20 blocks, so that way a second raceway could fit underneath the main one. So to wrap up this part of the project, let's get into one last time lapse and make the changes needed for the AR world. With the build now fully finished, another section of the Mega Pizzaplex has been added, and there are only a few areas left before this project is fully completed. Taking a look at the AR world, this has also ended up being my favorite alternate version of a build so far, as there are a lot more interesting details compared to simple glitching objects. The left side of the room has different floating race props, from flags and carts to even a giant traffic cone in the middle of the construction zone. The wrecking ball has also changed to now have purple rings surrounding it, while glass lights shoot out of it to show off the glitching effect. Then over to the right side are a couple of holographic palm trees, as well as two Nightmare staff bots riding go-karts on the racetrack. Overall, the Roxy Raceway has been a very fun build to work on, and I hope that you enjoyed watching it all come together. But ladies and gentlemen, that is now going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it and are excited to see what area will be added next. If you're interested in all future projects of mine, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on. That way you know the next time I upload, and can also help the channel to continue to grow. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will of course see you in my next video.